What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about some of my takeaways from the Resident Evil Requiem previews. Now, obviously, I wasn't there. I think a lot of us YouTube content creators weren't. So what I think a lot of us have to kind of do is take a look at what other people say, right? So I tried to read and just look at as many different things that were coming out of yesterday as I possibly could. And to be honest with you, there was a lot of samey stuff. You know, a lot of people tend to just repeat what other people say. Or maybe they literally just had the exact same opinion, right? So for this video, I want to put those 5 things together, and I want to start with number 1. This is actually new. This is actually thankful I didn't do this video yesterday, because we can actually add the plot synopsis. Now, I don't know if this is like a full-on plot synopsis or like partial, but this was added to their website, and it's a little intriguing, so I want to read it for you guys. Everything is set in motion when a body, the victim of an unidentifiable disease, is discovered in an abandoned hotel. FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft is assigned to the case, but the crime scene is at the very same hotel where her mother died 8 years ago. Grace prepares to finally face the past and makes her way to the scene, but this one case leads to uncovering the hidden truth behind the outbreak in Raccoon City, the biological disaster that shook the world. Will this be the requiem that finally lays the memories of that abhorrent disaster to rest? And what, the first 2 I don't really think are all that interesting or, like added info, right? Like we've heard, a lot of that stuff was kind of conveyed to us. In fact, potentially all of it was conveyed to us in the trailer. But specifically like connecting it to Raccoon City, right? And then also using the name of the game, Requiem. I like it when, those things kind of happen, but pretty cool, because again, like the foundation is kind of laid and we know that, you're going to have to tie these things in. And the fact that it seems like Raccoon City and a couple different locations, even in Raccoon City, are going to be playable, you got to kind of get us there, right? Especially if you're going to kind of lead off with Grace, you got to connect it, in some way. So just kind of cool to see it like worded out, I guess, the way that it was. Okay, number 2, it's number 1, it's the first thing that happened yesterday, okay? But also it was maybe the biggest thing that happened is we get the answer of first person versus third person. So just to rapid fire, you can switch, okay? You can go back and forth, you pick. Now, there was a lot of impressions on like which one kind of worked, right? And again, I think a lot of people were kind of saying the same thing. So you can trust it, you cannot trust it, whatever. I do think it's been confirmed, like Capcom says their preference is first, but you could go either or. The people that were there and the people that were able to actually play it generally decided / agreed upon, right, that first person seemed to work quite well when it came to like the hunting type elements, which we'll actually talk about later on in this list. Like we have another Mr. X type enemy, and when you have like the stalker type situation and they're trying to really get you into that horror, the first person seems to work better. Third person just kind of gives you, a different flavor, which is interesting, because I see a lot of people that, whether they were fans of 7 or 8, but they also still prefer the third person. I think there's actually quite a few people that are like that, out there. So it's going to be really interesting. And I do think, well, number 1, like, I think it satisfies a lot of people's, like, questions. There was so many people, even to myself, when we were talking about Requiem when it was first announced, the number 1 question was, okay, but what about, like, how do you actually see the game, right? First or third? Doing it as either or. Now, you got to make sure both are good. Again, it seems like first maybe is like the preferred way of playing it. What we've also heard from this preview event from like Capcom representatives is like third person, they want it to be as good as these remakes. Okay, so like 2, 3, 4, how they did third person mode, they want it. It's not a throwaway. And that's important too, right? Is to have both and to say, okay, well, first person is kind of what we'd want you to do. It's different to say, okay, well, that third person is literally just a throwaway thing. Like we put it in to appease you, but it actually kind of sucks. So hopefully nobody plays it. Versus what hopefully is going to happen. They're both extremely good. They'll give you a slightly different tone, naturally. First versus third, you're going to feel kind of different about situations that are happening, but at least like both of them are very good, right? So that's going to be the hope, and it seems like that's the case. Okay, number 3 is the Leon teaser. So I do believe this was like one individual. I think it blew up from there, although maybe multiple people have asked, but this started kind of early morning yesterday where supposedly there was a Capcom representative that kind of teased that there is going to be another playable character, and that character is going to it's going to be a familiar character. That was important, right? Familiar character, playable, and they would have access to a lot of weapons. And it's like, all right. And I do believe it. At this point, it's actually gotten too far to not happen, right? Like Dusk Golem would lose every credibility, any credibility the guy's got left. He would lose it all to this Leon thing. But honestly, it's spread out even besides him, because like every outlet, when you read these previews, when you read people talking about this like one news story, every site, GameSpot, IGN, they're all saying in their articles, okay, well, the rumor is Leon's going to be playable in the game. So it's spread further than just like some one insider, right? Now he's pretty recognizable in the community, but it's spread beyond just him. Now everybody kind of just assumes it's going to happen, even though, you know, it's not 100%. I believe it's going to happen, but it's just interesting how it's kind of blew up, you know, on the internet. I think people want it. I want it. It seems like it's going to happen. And based off, you know, what they said, I mean, okay. I mean, technically it could be like not Leon, because like there's other characters that could be in possession of like lots of weapons, and there's several recognizable characters in the Resident Evil franchise, but I do believe it's him that they're referencing. Okay, number 4, I want to talk about this stalker type enemy. So I've seen it be described as like a xenomorph type, and you know, remember what they were actually able to play seemingly was very, very early, if not like the very beginning of the game, right? Because a lot of people were talking about tutorial level stuff, like this thing does that, right? They have like the syringe now versus a spray. But anyway, you know, this is the beginning, so it's kind of setting expectations, setting that tone, which is then interesting that they're introducing this enemy that I wonder, because also you're going to have shifting locations, right? So it's like, I wonder how long, and you think about the other enemies, I guess they don't last all that long either, right? They're only like parts of you think about them, they're recognizable, they're iconic, but you think about even literally the last time they did this in Village, and she's only one arc, you know, of the entire game. Still, this enemy sounds pretty darn scary, sounds like Xenomorph-esque, very, very cool. So I guess just confirmation, okay, we're going to have this new stalker enemy, and this might be one of it actually kind of depends on like which preview you're reading. Some of them like consider it maybe the scariest one we've ever gotten. And by the way, like putting it towards the beginning, I feel like is also kind of this fear level, right? Because you're not into it yet, and you don't, and also like Grace as a character is not one that is like super like ready to handle something like that. So to have this enemy stalking you early, and so that, you know, if it's stalking Leon, that's different. You know what I mean? It would just be a somewhat different feel to it. And this kind of leads us to the final point, is the tone. So we've heard people say like this seems like it could be one of the scarier ones. It's got more connections like in staff and like leadership to 7 than it does 8, right? So naturally there were going to be those connections to 7, but that's another thing people were saying. This feels more 7 than it does Village, which a lot of people are applauding. You know, if you remember Village when it freaking blew up a couple years ago, they're like, everybody seems so into it, and I feel like the internet tide has turned on it for some reason, or maybe it's just, I don't know, it wasn't as popular as I thought it was. I don't know the situation, but we've heard a lot. It's going to be more like 7. It's got that creepy, more scarier type vibe, and I'm all in. I mean, you think about the trailer, which is really all we have technically, and then a couple new screenshots, and I mean, I really do feel like they're going for that like pure horror, you know, mixed in, because they've talked about like the action type elements, and again, having third person elements might shake it up, you know, a little bit as well. But I'm liking what I'm hearing with pretty much everything, you know, not just even these 5, but pretty much anything that we've heard from this event. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.